YouTube chat's dying? YouTube's been having all kinds of problems recently, I've noticed. Ridiculousness. Ridiculousness. Good morning. Okay, so, how do I explain this? So I tried to explain it in the, like, the description of this video, but basically, I am like a high anxiety person. And what that means for me is that once I get an idea for like a project or, you know, something I could do, I get very obsessive about it. And it takes over my entire brain, and I spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours researching it, and maybe I'll end up doing it, maybe I won't, or maybe I'll try and maybe I'll fail, and maybe I'll try and maybe I'll succeed. So one of those things has been making anime figures. Now, whether that means sculpting anime figures, whether that means painting anime figures like garage kits, it's kind of the whole thing, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm mostly interested in modeling anime figures, but having unpainted anime figures, I want to paint them. So in my brain, it kind of feels like two different obsessions. But oh, I forgot to mention that I call these obsessions brainworms. Yeah, printed in 3D. Like you would like model them in ZBrush or Blender, and then you'd print them on a 3D printer. I actually already have a 3D printer because, like I said, this has been an obsession of mine for many, 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 many years. Maybe like almost 10 years at this point. So I actually already have a resin printer. I'll actually show you which printer I have. Let me type it. It's a Piapoli Moai. So my point is that you guys are gonna kind of come with me on this journey of me either just kind of reiterating things that I already know, or me researching more aspects of the topic and how I collect information when I'm going into a project. I'm not really sure where to start with this because, you know, there's so many aspects we can kind of go at this from. How make Saber. I guess technically speaking, we would start, if we wanted to start at the beginning, we would talk about 3D modeling. And I have most of my tips are like, yeah, I got a big boy. He's a big boy. I got my printer before the much smaller resin printers came out, which was very recent. It was maybe about like the smaller resin printers only came out like maybe a year ago or a little bit more, but I got this one a while ago, so this is the one that I have. The resolution on it is really, really, really good. It's actually better than the Formlabs resin printer. Formlabs. Which is the one that I wanted for a really, really long time. I'm actually, to be honest, my 3D printing obsession is kind of a separate obsession, but it's like, it's a subsection. Like, my goal, my dream to make an anime figure, it has so many parts to it, and that's why I've never actually been able to succeed. Because I have to master so many little parts of it. And so I think I'm pretty good on 3D printers. I know a lot about 3D printers. I know quite a bit about 3D printers. I've been obsessed with 3D printers since like since they were first kind of a thing. Back in like 2010. Well, 2009. We're not gonna get into this. We're not gonna get into 3D printers. That's not what this is about. Although maybe it can be about it later. I follow a ton of, can you see this? When I do that, can you see this? Oh, you can't even see it. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, you guys can't see my bookmarks thing. Well, that's for the best anyways. I have a ton of bookmarks saved that we're gonna go through and kind of look at, and most of them are from Twitter users that I follow who are sculptors. And most anime figure sculptors are actually kind of, I wouldn't even call them freelance. They're hobbyists who sell their garage kits at Wonder Festival mostly. You know, little conventions essentially. And then every once in a while, a big company will buy one of these resin kits from them and sell it officially. And that's actually how a lot of figures are made, unless they're from like a series of figures or something like that. A lot of 1F figures are actually garage kits that were bought from sculptors who showed at Wonder Festival. Let's go to Twitter. There's one Twitter account. Oh, right, I don't have a Twitter plugin. Okay, little Twitter. I think it's called Figgy Figu. Yeah, this user. This user retweets a lot of very helpful information and very interesting work in progress kind of stuff. So I really like following them. It's kind of not safe for work. A lot of figures are not safe for work, but you know what? It's fine. As long as they're not painted, it's fine. It's fine. It's art. It's art. One second. There we go. And it's kind of annoying because a lot of the figure like tools and stuff you see are for like Gundams and ships and stuff, and I don't really care. That's kind of a totally different thing, because doing Gundams and, you know, ships and all that kind of stuff are usually more in the realm of like, oh, you need decals and they just require a totally different tool set than doing, like, you know, anime figures. And this is a paint booth to, you know, take the bad paint fumes away. I actually have one of these. Not this kind. I would love a Gokon booth, but I just have one of the paint booths you can buy off of Amazon. So I like to go on these and, like, you know, just sort of pick up information where I can. All these Twitter accounts. I have God Hand Nippers. I've just sort of picked up stuff along the way, but I don't really have like a full set of tools yet. I don't have any good like knives or files or sandpaper or anything, which is kind of important. So, actually, I should note, a lot of figure sculptors still make them like physically, like they sculpt them with clay and epoxy, well, mostly epoxy. Not actually, it's probably only like half of figure makers actually 3D model them. A lot of people still do them totally by hand and then cast them. So it's actually kind of difficult for me to find Oh, there's Picora. Actually, I think this person finished this model and I saw it recently. Maybe not. Maybe it was a different one, but it's actually kind of difficult to find resources on specific. It's just a landmine. It's just a landmine. This whole thing is a landmine. For me, the thing I've been stuck on is I don't understand like the proper protocol for like breaking apart the pieces when they're 3D modeled. Or at least I saw it blocked one of them. At least it's blocking some of them. This is actually one of the accounts I trust a lot more. There's a lot of accounts that I do not trust at all. At all. A lot of sculpting accounts, but this one's pretty good. This one's pretty good about not doing too much not safe for work stuff. Oh, that's cool. That's a cool one. I like the shader that they put on that to show it off. So yeah, I'm still not sure. I still don't fully understand. Well, I've spent a lot of my brain cells recently trying to figure out how I would cut the model up into its different pieces. Let's see, and some accounts just post like, oh, these are the brushes that I use for these individual parts, and that's also super helpful. Some accounts... this person's the artist. Wait, for like a bunch of VTubers, and then they decided, hey, I want to try 3D modeling. And so they were 3D modeling one of their VTubers. This account is really cool, and also they recently, like, they are a VTuber now. Like, this company is a VTuber, and they talk about people's garage kit builds, which is kind of interesting. I want to watch more of their content. Oh my gosh, it is so cold in my house. 1 second. I brought myself some tea instead of Bepis because it is so cold, but the tea was too hot earlier, so I couldn't drink it. It might be still too hot. Okay. I can drink the tea. I was like starting to shake because it's so cold. My hands are so cold, but the cup is so warm. Okay. Did we look at this one? So another thing, another whole other part of making an anime figure is if you want to make more than one, or you want it to be out of like resin, like the proper resin, then you have to cast it in silicone. Yes, silicone is the metal, silicone is the rubber. I always forget. I always mix them up. And so that's a whole other thing, which, by the way, I have been trying to... You know what? Maybe I've been trying to make an anime figure since 2007 or something like that. I don't know, since I was really, really young. Because I actually have a bunch of books from like middle school or something, some sort of very young elementary school. Oh yeah, they are from elementary school. I have a bunch of books from elementary school about this exact thing, but the resources were a lot more scarce back then. And basically, what the thing about this is that makes it really tricky is that for instance, in this one right here, let me talk about the, here we go, perfect. So let's just take this one for example. So this whole thing right here is, so they pour the resin in here, and it gives them wide berth to make sure that like it doesn't spill out everywhere, and then it seeps into this. But then they have to create little chambers out the bottom, although they didn't actually really do that. I wonder if they had a lot of problems with bubbles. You have to create chambers out the bottom so that the bubbles escape. Because if you just pour it in as it is, there will be no place for the bubbles to escape, and so you'll just, like, the bottom half, like, just won't be filled. And then all of these bumps are so that it doesn't move out of place, so that it matches perfectly with the other side. Here. Yeah, this person didn't do any escape holes. Very interesting. Yeah, well, I hope it went well for them. Yeah, bubbles are the biggest problem. It's very hard. And the basically when you take this out, you have this just like, let me see. I don't know if I spelled that right. You just have like this, yeah, here, kind of like this. You just have like this huge piece of all these pieces that are connected. Obviously this isn't a garage kit. This is like some sort of car or something. And it's called, these are the parts in between are called the sprues. But in the actual casting process, those are all there to make sure that the resin gets in every single nook and cranny. Oh yeah, look at all these sprues. Although these are all for cars. How boring. Cars are too easy. Give me some organic figures like an anime girl. What's this? Oh, okay. I tweeted about this person the other day. This person, Pablo, he is a developer, a programmer for Blender. Blender is a free and open source 3D modeling software. And actually, okay, for a very long time, people were kind of resistant to using Blender because it was extremely unuser friendly. Its UI and everything was like completely different than everything else. But pretty recently, like in the last couple of years, they did a total rehaul of it from version 2.0 onwards it's actually super much more easy to use and user friendly, and much more like you know, Maya and ZBrush. So actually I was using ZBrush, but I've since moved to Blender. I used to use Blender a lot when I was younger, and then in college I used Maya, and then after college I was using ZBrush, but I'm back in Blender because there's even stuff in ZBrush that doesn't really work very well, so I was doing it in Blender anyways, and then I was like, oh, Blender 2.0 is actually really good. Yeah, you tried using Blender, you had no clue what you're doing. Exactly. Blender's weird, but it's not anymore. It's actually good. Tea. With lots, it's decaffeinated black tea with lots of honey. That's my drink of choice. So Pablo is a developer for Blender, and what he does is he makes, I'm gonna take the tea bags out. Or else it'll be crazy bitter. Ah, no. I got tea on my desk mat. I actually found a really nice free/paid plugin for Blender that makes the interface more Maya-like. Well, I don't really want the Blender, the interface to be more Maya-like. I want it to be more like ZBrush, which it kind of already is. Because I do more sculpting than I do, like, I mean, I'm actually much better at, like, modeling with, you know, vertices and everything, but I would like to get better at sculpting, and a lot of what I want to do is sculpting, so sculpting is more important to me, frankly. But Blender is a wonderful mix between the sculpting that ZBrush has and the like raw modeling that Maya has. I don't really know what the proper word is. But anyways, so what Pablo does is he makes all of these incredible tools and brushes that make specifically like modeling stylized characters much easier, because that's what he does, is he basically, like, I don't know if he's like a professional modeler. I think he professionally, you know, works on Blender. You took a modeling for programmers. That makes sense. So also he's a huge fan of Luna. Actually, I want to show you his portfolio because he has a really, really cute, oh my gosh. So this is Chu and this is Eve, and Chu is my favorite girl in K-pop, so I'm just obsessed with this. I want this. I want to print this and make it mine. I want to make it a figure on my desk so badly. Oh yeah. He made the figure on his, or he made the Haruhi figure on his Twitch. You can go back and watch the VODs, and he talks about all the tools and stuff he uses. It was really, I actually watched a lot of it live, and it was really cool to watch the whole thing, and it was very approachable. Like, he does stuff and you're like, oh, this isn't like some weird fancy magic artistry hand that I need. No, this is just like, he just does these very, very simple things that you're like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, and he had some really good tips. Some good tips for a lazy person like me who's just trying to make a singular statue kind of thing like he does. Perfect. Wonderful. Ah, he's so good. Look at this stuff. Ah, it's so good. And he's made all these cool tools like the one I was just showing you. He made a as far as I'm concerned, he makes like the coolest, I mean, gosh, look at that. Look at that. That's something he made. Some of this stuff is kind of tech mumbo jumbo, so it's kind of difficult for me to explain, but like, what's... Oh. This is everything I've ever wanted. Displacement smear brush. This is exactly how I model hair, by the way. So this is kind of... very exciting for me. Yes. The paint is also where I'm caught. I'm hung up. Yeah. we will talk about that. Where was I? Here. And so some people who don't do as much stylized stuff or don't really care so much, they use Marvelous Designer to create clothes for the model, and then they can pose it and stuff. However, recently, very recently, there was a Blender add-on called Clothes Sewing. I don't know what it's called actually, but I know the technique is called Clothes Sewing, where you can literally just make a plane in the shape of the clothing. Let me show you. Oh, can't do that. Blender Clothes Sew. Yeah, it's like a really new thing. No! I don't care! Ah! Okay, but I mean, even just from this, you get the idea, right? So you just have to like draw like the pieces. You just have to make the pieces, and they're like a plane, and then it just stitches itself together. It's so cool. So I don't care about YouTube Premium. Give me the example. Is he gonna show me where it stitches together? Kind of. And then it'll even like do cloth physics, and then you can pause it where you want. This person's talking about how to model fingers so that when they're bent, they create the right shape, which is very important, especially if you're modeling a rigged figure, rigged model. Generally speaking, I don't think people rig their models that are for like anime figures and 3D printing, because there's no point. They're only ever going to be in that one pose. But this would be important for something like, for instance, my 3D version. Although I'm using Vroid for the basis of that. Let's see, what's the next thing? See, so this is a person who is sculpting like from scratch. They start with a wireframe, and then they put like circles for like the masses, and then they pose it how they want, and then they start filling in the details. And this person clearly does a lot of carving away, but most people don't really do that much carving, actually. I don't think. That's interesting that this person does so much carving. I'm definitely a person who prefers to like start with more and then subtract back, so that kind of appeals to me. This is just exactly what I was talking about. So they start with this, and they pose it how they want, and then they fill in the joints, and then it's stuck in that position. And then some sculptors will then will make some parts like completely off the figure. Like they'll make the face completely separate than the figure. They'll make the hands completely separate from the figure, which makes sense because a lot of the time when you're actually when it's time to cast it, those pieces are separate anyways, so it makes sense. Let's see, where am I? This one. Here's some more 3D modeling tips, but this is for ZBrush, so it doesn't really help me now. ZBrush is really annoying for stylized hair. Clearly this person figured it out though. Oh, that looks so good actually. Wait, that looks really good. That looks really good. I want to do that. That's exactly the kind of hair that I like to sculpt. Because my main inspiration is... I'll show you. My main inspiration for when I sculpt anime figures is any anime figure that's sculpted on a Shiro Miwa illustration, and I actually have quite a few of these. I have not this one, but I have this one. I have this one. I love this Miku figure. So anyways, the way the hair works is very similar to that I wanted this one, but I didn't buy it for some reason. Did it ever even come out? I don't know. I have this one. See how the hair is like sharp angles, a lot of sharp angles. That's how I like my to sculpt my hair. Tea. No, I've already seen that. Ah, so this person's sculpting fingers, and they're just showing how they like to do it. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? It sounds so annoying. Oh, continuation of, and they put the fingers on the hand. I don't know why. I don't know what they're making that they need to put two hands together. They start with just like slabs and then they carve them away. Makes sense, because the fingers are difficult because they're so delicate. They just fall right off. I've tried sculpting, like, physically too. It's hard. I was also using the wrong kind of clay. We've already seen this. Already seen this. Already seen this. Oh, I thought this was interesting because this person, I don't know why they used real hair. I don't know if they intended to cast it. Also, this figure is huge. Look how huge this figure is. But the hair, like the sculpted hair he did is so cool. I don't know why he put actual hair in there. That's probably like 1/5 or 1/6 scale. Is this the one we just looked at? Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, this person talks about how they do stylized hair, and I believe this is also ZBrush, so again, not super helpful, but kind of helpful. So this person, they block out a section on the head, and then they just make a new object from that, and they start low poly and work upwards. Oh yeah, that must have been, oh, huge, probably much bigger than 25 inches, I bet. Assuming it's tall, it's like standing up. But so this is how this person who's sculpting, obviously in real life, sculpts their hair. Personally, I don't know how I feel about this final result. I feel like they could have brought it all the way up, but you know, everyone has their own personal taste. Especially anime figure hair. There's a lot of different opinions. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. I just thought it was interesting that this person sculpted them this way. Oh, and then I even save drawing reference images. Because, I mean, it's drawing and sculpting, you know, you still have to have an aesthetic understanding of what looks good and how things work. So I save a lot of stuff like this. What is this? Is this the same thing? Yeah, okay. And then I started labeling my... So once you actually have the figure, like, I guess now we can get into the... We've talked a little bit about the sculpting part. And then, let's say you sculpted it, you have the figure, like in cyberspace, and you've cut it up somehow in a method that I don't understand yet. I guess a lot of Booleans, probably. And then you 3D print it. So, the 3D print usually, well, I think 3D printers would be probably a lot more precise than the resin casting that most figures go through. So I guess if you're 3D printing each individual figure, this is not nearly as much of an issue. But if you were to cast it in silicone and make a, hard resin version, there's a lot more post-processing that goes into it. Because of all the sprues and the seam lines are a huge thing. That said, though, there is still definitely a lot of sprues to deal with when you 3D print figures and stuff, because let's talk about resin print. let's talk about, I don't know, the support structures that are generated when you 3D print something are just as annoying as sprues and more invasive. So, because you don't really have control over where they are so much as you do when you're like placing exactly where each of the, I mean, you do. You can individually place where sprues are, but there's a physical constraint to it, you know? So they can this is pretty good. They got away with not a lot of sprues here, or support structures. This is kind of more typical. Just like a whole, ideally all of the support structures would be on a flat surface, so that once you nip them, you can just like sand it down flat. What would be better? I mean, neither is, they're just different. I mean, the artifacts that resin casting leave is more unpredictable, and you have stuff like seam lines and bubbles that are just, you know, random things that happen, but that kind of stuff won't really happen unless you've really goofed up. That kind of stuff won't happen in resin printing. So I would say you're probably gonna get a cleaner print from 3D printing it directly. And actually, the one that the page that I started this stream on, oops, that's not right. There's a few garage kits that are available for download on Booth, and I intend to buy this one and see if I can even have the skills to 3D print this properly. It's only $15, so it's not too bad. That's kind of what I expect. And it's kind of cool that, like, despite the fact that, you know, I'm nowhere near Japan, I'm nowhere near Wonder Festival and all that fun stuff, I can download. You wouldn't download a car. Anyways. I can download an anime figure and print it in my own home. And even if I mess it up when I try to paint it or whatever, that's okay. I can just print another one. Although the resin is very expensive. Oh, I guess that's another downside to, like, you can't really just 3D print all of your figures because, first of all, one print for an anime figure would probably take 15 hours. That sounds about right. And then the UV resin that it requires is very expensive. Regular resin is much cheaper. Much cheaper. Like the resin you would use for like a silicone cast is much cheaper. But anyways, yeah, I intend to buy this one and steal all of its secrets. Especially concerning, although I can look at this image and tell exactly what they did actually. I can tell that they just took the sculpt that was there and they did a Boolean difference with the other side, and then they added these you know, structures, which is, I mean, pretty much exactly what I would do, honestly. This is pretty close. But by printing this out, I can kind of see like, oh, yeah, they did that, but like, I didn't really like how that worked, and that didn't work out that well, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, hell yeah, Boolean ops, yeah. Okay, so I was mentioning, so once you have your print, there's a lot of sanding to do. A lot of sanding. Because all of the little bumps that the sprues leave, you have to sand them. And what this is, and I bought one, but I have not used it yet, is a little machine that just like vibrates on the end. So you put your sandpaper on it, and it allows you to just print or sand so much faster. And then a much more aggressive version that I don't think many people use would be like a Dremel. But oh, I want these tips. I need to buy some little file tips just like this. Yeah, because I used to just sand everything by hand, and oh boy, do I not recommend doing that. Turns out resin is very hard. It's a hard material, and it's very toxic. So not only is it painful to just like sand for like 6 hours, but the dust will kill you. Oh yeah. This bookmark was, I titled this bookmark Hand 3D Modeling, and I was like, what the heck does that mean? But looking at it, it's quite clear what that means. Hands are very annoying to model. casting, I labeled this one. Ah, yes, this is what we were talking about. So this is the silicone cast. It has it has 2 boards on either side to keep it level and not flex, because silicone is very, very rubbery and it'll flex around. So they put 2 boards on either side, and they just filled the top with resin, and he's gonna open it up and we're gonna see what it looks like. So see how his, can I make this full screen? Can you guys still see that? I have no idea. I think that filled the whole screen when I did that. So you see his, this is the top right here. He had it goes all the way through down to the bottom and connects. That's what you want. You want them both to connect at the bottom. That and then see it has a port that goes back up at the top. So he pours it in this hole. It fills all the way down to the bottom, and then it will fill the bottom and come back up. And when it comes back up the other side, that's how you know that it's filled, that there's no bubbles. So this is exactly what I was talking about before. Ooh, all the little pieces are coming out. Ooh, look at that. Cool. Okay. So it's very difficult. A lot of practice it takes to make a good mold, I should say. So I just saw this one, and not only is this extremely cool, I believe this is just a 3D render. I don't think this is a physical, but they posted the pieces. Oh, they cast. They didn't cast. No, they didn't cast the pieces in different colors, did they? Whoa! And of course, the page doesn't exist anymore. Whoa, that's cool. But I want to look at the deconstructed pieces as much as possible to learn how they cut up parts. And generally speaking, the way they try to cut up parts is by color. So if something is like a sleeve that's different than the skin and the hand, then like the shoulders will be a different part, the sleeve will be a different part, and the hand will be a different part. So that when you're painting them, they're much easier to paint. But I have noticed that they don't really care that much how stable, like the modeler doesn't care that much how stable the parts fit together. They're just like, oh, you know what? The person who's painting it can worry about that. And if you guys have ever watched, if you guys watched that Mariko garage kit that I posted, not Mariko, what am I talking about? I didn't see Mariko. Where did that come from? My brain is dying. Garage kit. Oh my gosh! I don't care about grammar. This is a good example. So, basically, the modelers do not care if they fit together, because they're like, the person who's painting will make it fit together. And so they don't care how stable it is, so he just put pins in it so that they fit together properly. And he also has magnets that he uses, that he drills in and glues in. And so the magnets also hold the bigger pieces together. See, there you go. Magnets, it's all magnets and pins. Oh, I love this guy's videos. This guy, it makes my favorite garage kit videos. But there's an English channel who explains everything and links all of her materials. And her name is Leona's Workshop. She also does Spanish ones too. And she streams on Twitch. She's really cool. And she's actually much more thorough than any other garage kit builder that I've ever seen. She makes everything fit absolutely perfectly. And she's very obsessive about making everything perfect. And her videos are wonderful and very helpful. Because even if the Japanese videos are helpful, I can't read. They never say them out loud, so I can't even translate subtitles. So it's kind of frustrating. The biggest hurdle with Garage Kits is that there's very little information in English. Her channel is by far the biggest wealth of Garage Kit information that I've ever found, and I've been looking for 10 years. There's definitely more information now than when I was trying to do it back in whatever year. So here she is inspecting all the pieces, trying to figure out where she's gonna have to fill in parts and sand, and I think she's just reviewing it actually right now. She's reviewing it. Here's this one she got a lot of views on. So she's putting a pin in, I think. An ad? Really? Come on. Yeah, the magnets are cool. I would have never expected magnets, because I'm like, well, how often are you taking apart these things? Why not just use pins? But I don't know. It's just what they do. I don't really understand why. She also does a lot more hand painting than a lot of oh. She's funny. Anyways, you get the idea. This channel's wonderful, an absolutely incredible resource. This is Maya Tips. This person apparently did a whole... Oh, of course. Well, never mind then. I guess this tweet is extremely unhelpful then. Oh, that's right. Crunchyroll actually hosted a... Like, on their site, they had this whole series that was a sculptor, like, tournament. This is loud in my ears. An advertisement? Crunchyroll, why am I getting an advertisement for Crunchyroll? I'm on Crunchyroll. I know. Anime, I get it. Anime is cool. What the heck? What an archaic list of shows to be. I mean, they're all good, but it's just funny. Come on, this is a long ad. Really? Is Gintama like one of the most popular anime on Crunchyroll? So anyways, it was hosted by Band Presto, and they had to make, I believe, One Piece figures. And so it's a whole subtitled... I haven't watched this yet. I really need to, but it talks about... It's a reality show, so it's kind of mostly just like, you know, their story or whatever, but I would really appreciate sculpting tips. Please. Painting booth, this one is labeled. Oh yeah, this guy's they're showing off how good the ventilation is in a Gokon booth. Oh, it's so good. So expensive. Oh, and here he's showing the casting. So, oops, I just full screened that. So here he's spraying the mold release, which is a whole thing about... I didn't even talk about that. But actually, technically, if you're using silicone, you shouldn't need mold release, but it does extend the life of your mold. So he's spraying mold release. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't even have an outdoor space where I live, so I had to get a paint booth if I wanted to do anything. Oh! I forgot. That's a whole other part of it. Oh my gosh. I completely forgot about that aspect of it. Everything's coming back to me. So, if you really want no bubbles, you have to put it in a pressure pot. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a pot that puts an immense amount of pressure on the contents of it, like just the air pressure, and then that will push all the bubbles out. Completely forgot about that. Oh my gosh, there's so much expensive stuff you need to do the whole process. This is why I like 3D printing. You don't need any of this stuff. That was really loud. He screwed it together. Oh gosh. But boy, are the results good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah. So that's a whole other part of it. And by the way, pressure pots can be kind of dangerous, actually. There's a couple tutorials online, or a lot of tutorials, about how to make one using, like, stuff from Harbor Freight, and I've always been tempted, but at the same time, I know it's very dangerous, so I don't want to. So I'm just gonna avoid casting as much as I can. I would rather just 3D print stuff over and over again. And this is another person who sculpts by hand, and so I just thought this was interesting because this is their process of, the part at the very beginning is them sculpting a face, which they sculpt completely separate from everything else. Oh, my back. And now let's finally talk about, I mean, we kind of did already, but let's talk about, let's talk about garage kits. So let's say you've sculpted it, you have the cast, and now you have a garage kit. Oh, that's right. This channel is this person's, like, showing, oh, look how much better I've gotten at sculpting. Which they have. They've gotten really good at sculpting. I'm impressed. It gives me hope for the future. In only a few years, he got really good. But anyways, let's go back to the I never remember the name of the channel. Tsukima. Tsukima is the name of this channel. So, you have your pieces. Either you bought a garage kit or you 3D printed it. And what do you do now? Well, you do a lot. There's so many tools required for this step, and it is the biggest thing that has been preventing me from doing all of this. Let's just watch this one, why not? So you have the pieces, you cut all the bits off, you do quite a bit of sanding, as much as you can, really, and then you, like, he puts all the pins on them and the magnets, and that's a whole process. And then if you want the pieces to fit together perfectly, you have to use epoxy and, like, add more parts to it and then sand them away again. It's a lot of I'll just buy a prize figure. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, beyond sculpting the darn figure and printing it out and making a cast of it, just the painting and the, like, refining of the pieces takes like 100 hours. Is it because I'm lazy, or is it overwhelming? Oh no, the thing that's been, I mean, a little bit lazy, except that now that I own and they have, like, these little sanding machines, I'm not too worried about that. The issue is just the number of tools. So first of all, the masking tape that they use is much better than just regular painter's tape, so I would have to buy masking tape. I already own the nippers. That's a big part of it. So I already own the nippers. There are a lot of special tools used just for sanding. So there's the sanding little machine, the auto sander. There's also a tool that holds a strip of sandpaper so that you can, for instance, sand in between this little thing. You can sand in between parts that you just can't get, you can't get to. There is an entire, okay, so let's say you got all the sanding out of the way. Let's say, well, you need to drill holes for the pins, and you need to buy the pins and buy the magnets. So you need to buy the bits to drill the holes, you need to buy the super glue to glue in the pins and the magnets, you need to buy the pins and the magnets. Then, let's say you have everything fitted together. Let's say you got that far. You wash it, and you prime it, and guess what? A airbrush and a compressor costs $500. So by the way, I don't own an airbrush. I don't own a compressor, so that's a huge cost. And then, even if you own the airbrush, even if you got this far, the masking tape is special, which I already mentioned. The masking tape is special, and not only is the masking tape special, but there are all kinds of tools that you can get to make it so that when you cut the masking tape, it cuts the perfect shapes. I don't even think he goes in. He doesn't even go into this video. He doesn't even get as far as painting. Let's go to the Hoshin Marine Hoshinobi. This, see, There are mats that you can buy to allow you to cut masking tape that's this thin. And then he does something that's very clever, which I've never seen, is he just only does the sides. And then he covers it with this blue putty. And the blue putty is actually just stuff from Daiso. Which is very smart, and I'm definitely gonna acquire as soon as I can. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I mean, yes, you can paint, you know, brush the paint on, but it's not the same. I did follow, there is a channel, there's a English-speaking channel that paints garage kits by hand, for the most part, but it doesn't look the same. It's not the same. Oh my gosh, the amount of masking it takes is ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing miniatures, perfect. Brush painting is perfect for miniatures, but this scale, it just doesn't work. It has too much flat surfaces and everything. It's just not really possible to get it looking good. And then, I've ever thought about trying a figure-rise bust. They don't need paint as far as a figure-rise bust. I don't know what that is. But I mean, I want to do this stuff, because the point is I want to sculpt my own. I don't want to just put pieces together. I can put, you know, I can buy a Lego set. Oh, and you need to buy these little alligator clips, which, by the way, I already own. Quite a few of these things I have slowly bought over the years in preparation for one day finally having all the materials to do this. Did I say Lago? Anyways. And then the thing that ultimately makes me very nervous is, what if I'm really bad at painting? What if I actually am just super bad at painting? Because that feels like something I would do. Like, I have no eye for colors. Oh, that's a whole other thing. You have to mix all the colors yourself. I have no eye for color. In addition to having to buy all the paint sets and paint, which is, by the way, its own issue. Apparently, it's pretty difficult to obtain the kind of paint that's good for this stuff. But, like, mixing the colors, I just have no eye for color. I actually have absolutely no idea whether I'd be good at mixing colors, but I have a feeling I'd be bad at it. Actually, this guy's channel is the first one to give me hope that I might be serviceably okay at painting. Yeah, you have to mix the paint. This channel is the first time that made me feel like I might be okay, because he doesn't do a lot of fancy stuff with his painting. He actually doesn't do much fancy stuff at all. Leona, on Leona's workshop, she does a lot of very fancy painting, but generally speaking, he just does kind of flat colors and, you know, a little bit of shading and stuff like that, but it's definitely not anything very complex. He doesn't get in and try to do fine details at all. Yeah, I mean, if they don't, and even if they do make the color you want, do you want to buy a whole new color? How annoying. Oh, and then, you've painted the whole gosh darn figure, but she doesn't have a face. And I have to say, this guy also is the first garage kit builder to make me feel like I could do this. Because he doesn't have a steady hand. I'll show you from the beginning. He doesn't have a steady hand at all. But what he does is he kind of vaguely paints it on as best he can because it's so small. And then he uses a little, I don't really know what it's called or what it is, but it's like a little foam tip. See, it's pretty precise, but it's not perfect. She did a pretty good job there, but and then he comes in with, he doesn't show it here. There it is, the foam tip, and he rubs the unwanted paint away so that it's a clean line. He does a much messier job in the one that I was just watching earlier. This one. Here we go. And by the way, this technique of drawing the face on with like a brown is very, very common. I also used ads. Really? I used to watch a lot of doll face-up artist channels. So they paint the faces on Barbies, on Monster High dolls and stuff like that. Okay, see, look. Very, 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 very messy. He just sort of vaguely draws the line on, and then he pulls it all back with the foam tip. Because the foam tip just like sucks up all the, and then look, it's perfect. Because you don't have to be perfect. You just have to get it kind of. Look, I just wanted to show that, you know, this is the first thing that I saw, and that made me think, oh, I could paint faces maybe, because I've tried painting at this scale. It's very hard. I don't have the hands for it. I just don't. But this technique of using a little foam tip makes perfect sense to me. And then so he paints the kind of the guidelines on in this orange brown, and then he goes over it with darker and darker colors. That's a very, very common technique in face-up doll channels. I'm gonna drink some tea while I read the comments. Yeah, I mean, except for the Daiso adhesive putty that he used for masking that I'd never seen before. I was also not familiar with this little sponge tip or whatever he's using. I want to know what it's called. How do I get it? Can't read Japanese. Just my sad face. I don't know how to. I don't know how to read more Japanese. Actually, I could just you know. When I'm really desperate, I go into the Google Translate app, and it allows you to draw characters, so you just redraw these characters. The putty was some sort of blue tack. Yeah, he talks about it in this video, which you actually can turn on translated subtitles for, and the translation is very good. Auto-translate subtitles to English. He talks about it. It's a mounting putty from Daiso. Let's see, where does he talk about it? He doesn't talk about all of his tools in this video, which is a little bit frustrating. Like, he doesn't talk about the foam tip. Oh, where is it? Whatever, you get the idea. So this video actually has pretty good auto-translated subtitles. If you feel like looking up his tools or getting an explanation. Oh, and the part that we didn't get to is that he then masks everything but exactly, wait, is that the tiny, oh my god, that is the tiniest masking tape I've ever seen in my life. You can also buy pre-cut masking tape, by the way. Things weren't confusing enough. And then he fills everything else in with putty, and then airbrushes the darker bits on. I don't feel like I have the... I don't feel like I could do that. I would probably just hand paint the whole face, TBH. I actually probably, to be honest, I have done doll face-ups before, where you use colored pencil. And the colored pencil is really light, but as you go over it and over it with more layers, it becomes darker. I would probably do that. I'm pretty good at that, and it's very forgiving. Oh, pre-cut masks. See, you like automobile and like that kind of stuff. Y'all have the good stuff, especially in not Japan. There's a model shop. I've been to I've been to a lot of model shops, and they have a lot of like similar stuff, but they're all tailored towards, you know, making car models, trains and cars. Oh my. Ah, looks so good. Ah, so cute. You might be thinking, oh, the face is so shiny. Well, he paints it over with a matte finish. Except for the eyes. He fills the eyes in with the masking. So that's the shadow of the eye. And then he fills the eye in with the masking, and then he covers the whole rest of it with a mattifying spray. Oh, it looks so good. There it is. Oh, he's putting blush on it. How cute. Oh, this is such a good garage kit. I want it. I want it so bad. It was at the Wonderfest Winter 2021, which, how did that happen? How did that happen in our global climate? Jealous. So yeah, anyways, I don't have an airbrush, and it's actually, I tried to buy an airbrush when I was like little, and I didn't know how to take care of it, and also it was very cheap, so I never even got to really use it before it broke. So it's kind of like that, like, you know, once bitten, twice shy kind of thing. So I'm very nervous about buying another airbrush, especially because it's so expensive. I wouldn't want to buy it until I like have the project ready, and I'm going to work on it right now. So I don't know what else to talk about with figures. I don't know. Do you guys have any questions? Maybe I can answer with my 10 years of research at this point. Gosh, ridiculous. Usually by the end of one of these deep dives that I'll do, I mean, this is my first time streaming it, but obviously I do this exact kind of thing all the time by myself. Usually it ends up with me with a shopping cart full of stuff. My favorite, it's called Japan Hobby. Yeah, Hobby Link Japan. This is where I've bought most of my tools in the past. However, I think going forward in the future, I'll try to find more reliable places, because this place takes forever to ship. But Hobby Link Japan has every single tool for garage kits you could possibly imagine. I don't even have half the tools to do this yet, TBH. I still need the where are the tools? Scale figures? Is it scale figures and then tools? Here we go. Because I don't have the airbrush. That's $500. I don't have the paint. That's another $100 at least. I do have these little alligator clips. Oh, and then this is a whole other thing. Although mostly people, I mean, some people do this. I don't see the people use these things as much anymore. But these things are for holding, specifically usually the faceplate in place, so that they have something nice and big and steady to hold on to instead of like just a little stick, which makes perfect sense. I mean, gosh, line scriber. This is just for the purpose of making tiny little grooves. Wow. Also, Hobby Link Japan takes forever to load because it's hosted in Japan. See, so it's for like making fine. It's for like either making precise, like what is it? Refining the edges, or adding grooves. Like for instance, although Tsukima, is that his name? He just like holds a drill bit in his hand and just sort of scrapes it against the figure, which was so funny to me, to be honest. Close, there we go. I need to buy a lot of masking tape too, but I feel like masking tape has a little bit of an expiration date, so I'm trying not to. Oh, I need one of these things too. Although that's just cardboard, but like I don't have enough cardboard. I just don't. Gosh, there's so many bits and pieces. Although maybe if I search on this site long enough, I'll find that little foam tip he was using for painting the face. This is an auto sander that's colored like an EVA unit. So specific. Nippers are a whole thing. What the heck are these? Boot print stamps. Ooh, that would be really good if you do more like not Warhammer, because it's the wrong scale, but you know what I mean. Like D&D tabletop kind of stuff. Mini clamp? What is this? Every time I go on this site, I get more confused and scared. Multi-tool stand. actually, Leona's... She has a blog where she... Yep, here we go. She posts all of her tools. Shopping guide, that's right. An ad? That was weird. So she talks about where to purchase kits. She talks about, you know, the specific tools that she mostly uses and not really where to find them. She just kind of assumes that you know what Hobbylink Japan is. Yeah, Hobbylink Japan. Hobbylink Japan is where you're going to find the biggest variety of tools, which makes sense. But she also mentions some, like, you know, alternatives. Amazon, eBay, Seal Model, which she mentions looks like a 90s site, but they have a lot of good stuff, apparently. She talks mostly about where to get paints, because obviously she has all the tools already, so paints, you know, wear out. So she has to replenish her paints a lot. This is the one that I got. Maybe I took her advice. This is the one that I bought. Although I think I got it for way cheaper, TBH. I don't think I paid more than $100. And now it's just under my bed. I think I need to get a new filter because I used like really thick spray paint in it. So I think I need a new filter, which sucks. What is this? Airbrush cleaner. See, I know, and not to mention all this stuff that you need to clean the airbrush. And then there's these masking tapes that are especially for curved edges and stuff. Oh boy. Oh, I actually do have this. I do have an ultrasonic cleaner because I use the ultrasonic cleaner for my 3D prints. It's very helpful. Although I don't feel like it does that good of a job. Yeah, curved masking tape. And then there's all the Tamiya stuff, which is like its own difficulty to obtain. I actually do have Mr. Super Clear because I was using it for my doll face-up stuff, but it's probably expired at this point. So yeah, I have like no experience painting. That's the problem. Ooh, wait, that's what that was. Oh, that makes sense. I forgot that this exists. I used to go to a hobby shop near me all the time, and they had a lot of Zap-A-Gap. But I don't have any in my possession anymore. Plastic palettes for holding the paints, all kinds of precision tweezers. Oh my gosh, look at all that. She did a video where she talked about all the pins and rods she uses too, a lot of her materials. That video is really, really good. Let's see, does it link to her YouTube channel easily? I have no idea. Tutorials? YouTube. She did a YouTube channel where she talked about here, Garage Kit Beginner Essentials, and there's some stuff about a giveaway, but she goes through all the materials she uses pretty much. She does a lot of work with epoxy that I don't think I would have to do because I'm 3D printing it. Hopefully that's the ideal. But she goes through absolutely everything and kind of where you can find them and all the different masking tapes and sprays and garage kits. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm excited because I really want to try out that what's it called? This one, this figure right here, on Booth. And I know figures like this, Prince Pop, actually, Sankaku Baby. This guy right here. I don't really plan on buying this figure, but this person, Sankaku 3D, I've been following them for a very, very, very long time. They're very popular on a website called, what's it called? I always forget what this site is called. Nope, I put too many A's. Sketchfab. So they have a long and storied history on Sketchfab. Oh please don't be a weird model. Oh boy, Sketchfab is like crashing Chrome right now. Okay. Oh. So they've always been well known on Sketchfab, doing all these cool anime stuff. So I've been following them for many years now at this point. And I realized on Twitter the other day that they posted one of their sculpts on Booth to buy. So that's really cool. Oh my god, wait, they included a Blender file? I might have to buy that actually. I don't really intend on printing this, but I might have to buy the Blender file just to peep on what he did. Oh no. Okay. I guess I'm gonna own the big-tittied rabbit girl. Darn it. Okay. Also, this image right here actually was the most helpful in figuring out different techniques for cutting the pieces apart that I've seen so far, because, oops, you can very clearly see that he selected the edge of this, he like selected this edge and then he extruded it down. And then I think the rest of this is just the natural sculpting that he did, but like, and I was like, oh, that's smart. Yeah, extruding the edge and then playing with that edge and scaling it down and stuff like that. That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, he very clearly did that. He didn't even clean it up very well. Wait, I didn't say that. Sorry. I don't want to badmouth people. I wonder how much people 3D print these out to test them, or if they have the ability to. And he even included different versions of the face. This one would probably be a lot easier to paint. The bunny tail, because it's a different color. What are these pieces? Different platforms? Oh yeah, different platforms. That's cool. But he didn't include any way for the shoes to actually be attached to the platform. I've noticed that as well. If you don't have to put supports in, they just don't. They're like, oh, the painter will figure that out. My tea's cold now. It doesn't really help me anymore. But yeah, so I have some money to spend. A lot of money to spend, actually. And unfortunately, even if I did spend this money, I don't think I'd be able to do these projects for quite a long time. I have a lot of projects I need to do before I can start, you know, making 3D models and stuff. Yeah, it's gonna take forever and it's gonna be naughty, so I'm just gonna close it. Yeah. And then a lot of the cool stuff, the most handy stuff, the most popular stuff on HobbyLink is always sold out. That's part of the reason I try not to use HobbyLink. Ugh, so annoying. Okay. I seriously don't know what else to talk about now. I think I've talked about everything I possibly can. I'm excited to try this one though. I guess I could at least try printing it out, but I shouldn't. I have too many projects to do. I have too many projects right now. I shouldn't take on any more projects. You can't see me, but I just closed a tab that had a possible new project on it. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because, well, I mean, I'm kind of doing this research because obviously I've always wanted to make anime figures, like I've always wanted to do this, but I have an idea, and it's been wriggling around in my brain, causing me to go insane. And the idea is, I already tweeted it, so I don't really care. If someone else does it, good. At least the idea that it will have been done. It will satisfy my curiosity, I guess. And my idea is offer a service to VTubers who are already 3D to refine their model, as in, you know, make it actually printable, and also kind of look a little bit, you know, more detailed, because a lot of the 3D models aren't that detailed because they're just meant to be, you know, viewed, you know, via the computer. And then sell it, like, they commissioned me to make it look good and 3D printable, and you know, I could even offer a service to print it and send it to them, and then the Brainworm says, hey, but no one would buy it if it's unpainted, because Like, why would they? You know, most people don't really care about garage kits. So then they would want a service where I paint it, and then I'm like, I can't paint anything! I don't have the tools to do this! Anyway, so that's how my brainworm works. Once I get an idea, the idea starts rattling around in my brain, and it won't shut up until I do all this research. And the research either tells me, okay, you need to buy all these things, or the research tells me, that's not possible. And then it nags me even more, and it's annoying. I mean, even VTubing started as a brainworm, but unfortunately, or fortunately, VTubing was entirely within the possibility for me to do, and so I did it. The time for me, like, starting the brainworm, contracting the brainworm that said, you should become a VTuber, and actually becoming a VTuber was so short. It was only like 2 months or something like that. Yeah. I think maybe like 2 weeks after I had the idea, I made my Twitter account, and then it was off to the races. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like my VTubing. I'm surprised anyone likes to come, but you know. I have many more fun VTubing projects in the future, all lined up, and they just need my time and my care and my effort. And then, you know, one day they'll come to fruition. You all get to see it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But yeah, that's all I have to talk about for, especially when I eat. Where's my tea? Where's my tea? There's more fun things I could do with my model, actually. I could stick out my tongue. I could make it so that when I stick out my tongue sticks out, but I don't feel like it. Actually, speaking of VTubing, I did add a bunch more faces recently. Remember when when I asked you guys what faces you would like to see from me? Well, I made them. So, you asked for a smug face, and this is the closest I could get. It's not that smug. Not that smug. Here, let me zoom in. You call that anime figure? Oh? Do you like anime? Name 5 anime. Stupid. And then someone asked for a disgusted face. And someone asked for a yandere face. Oops, I messed them all up. Now I'm stuck. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I like the yandere face. Anyways. Sorry. I'm glad you guys came and learned about anime figures with me, and maybe learned something new, or these streams always go off the rails at the end. But yeah, one day I'll make an anime figure. One day it will happen. I will make it so. I will make it so. And you will all be there to witness me. Okay. I need to go and actually work on stuff. I actually have a lot of stuff to work on that you will be finding out about very, very soon. Very soon. Okay. Have a good morning afternoon, evening, or good night, depending on where you are. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.